guys, hi, hello, and welcome back to a YouTube channel. So, in today's section, we'll be dealing about the classical approaches to management. I hope you all have seen our previous video in which we were discussing about the concept, meaning, then the definitions, and also the different processes of management. And today, in this section, we will be particularly focusing on the classical approaches to management, in which scientific management will be the thing that we'll be discussing today. So let's move on to our topic. Those who have not seen the previous video, we have provided the link below. Kindly go and see the previous video, since this is a continuation of the unit 1. So it will be very much beneficial for you if you are going for a revising section. So let me begin the topic. Let's move on to the class. Classical thought of management came into existence during the time of Industrial Revolution, that too in the year 1900. So during that particular time, there were a number of problems in the industries, like relating to the labor and production, etc. So in that point of time, the managers' key issues were looking into how they can increase the productivity as well as the efficiencies of the labor. So for that particular thing, managers starts to divide the work, examining the processes that were going on, so how they could effectively increase the efficiency of the workers and how they could increase the productivity thereby. So all these problems were existing at that particular point of time. So this particular school of thought, or this particular approach, is known as the oldest one. Okay, there were so many contributors to this particular approach. So some of the major contributors to classical approach was F.W. Taylor, Max Weber, Frank and Lillian Gilbert, and Henry Fayol. These were some of the people who have contributed more during that particular time. Under this particular approach, we have to learn about scientific management, bureaucratic management, and administrative management. In today's session, we are going to learn about scientific management. So scientific management, who put forward scientific management? It was F.W. Taylor, or Frederick Winslow Taylor. Who is he? He belongs to a very normal family in USA. He joined a company named as Midway Steel Company in the year of 1878 as a very normal laborer over there. Because of his efficiency and observance, he after 6 years was promoted into the post of chief engineer over there. So during his 6 years of time, he have conducted many experiments. He have observed many things and reported to the superiors in the company, and as a result of everything, as a result of all his experiments, he wrote a book in the year 1911 named as Principles of Scientific Management, which created a huge change in the field of management. There were many other contributors to scientific management. Some of them were Henry Elkins, then Frank and Lillian Gilbert was there, Harrington Emerson. These were some of the major contributors to scientific management at that particular point of time. Next is the meaning of scientific management. What do you mean by scientific management? Scientific management simply means that it is the art of knowing what is to be done and how is to be done. So under this particular approach, what we actually do is that we inculcate, or we follows scientific technique in order to recruit people or recruit the workers in the selection as well as training processes of the workers. We follow a scientific technique or scientific method, as well as in order to tackle many other industrial problems, we use this particular scientific technique. So that is what we mean by scientific management. From the word itself, it is very much clear that scientific management means that science plus management. You are combining the scientific techniques along with management in order to increase the productivity or increase the efficiency of the workers. You are introducing the scientific techniques. That is what is done under scientific management. I hope it is very much clear for you. This is the meaning of scientific management. Coming into the definition of scientific management, F.W. Taylor has defined scientific management as it means knowing exactly what you want men to do and seeing that they do it in the best as well as the cheapest way. So this was the definition given by F.W. Taylor. We are moving into the principles of scientific management. There are 5 principles which comes under scientific management, and the first principle is that we have to replace the rule of thumb with science. What do you mean by rule of thumb? Rule of thumb means the so far practiced procedures by our ancestors. We are also going to follow the same thing. It should not be the thing. We should put our efforts forward in order to develop techniques of production to accomplish the maximum possible work in an efficient manner at the minimum possible cost. So that should be our aim, and we should put forward our efforts for that particular aim. So all the related activities must be performed in a scientific management. That is what is discussed beneath the first principle, that is replacing the rule of thumb with science. So the so far procedures are not the thing that we have to follow. We have to put forward our efforts forward in order to create and develop new techniques for the production in order to accomplish the maximum possible output or maximum possible work in an efficient manner in a minimum possible cost in order to hit our target output. So that is the first principle, that is replacing the rule of thumb with science. Then the second one is that scientific selection and training of workers. What is the second principle? That is the scientific selection and training of workers. So under this particular principle, it is told that the scientific selection means only those persons should be selected who possesses the necessary capabilities and capacities to perform a particular task. The third one is cooperation. So according to Taylor, he tells that there should be a good cooperation between the management as well as the employees over there. So he was the person who proposed the theory of the concept of Mendel revolution, which means that there must not be any clash between the management as well as the employees. So there should be a good rapport between those two groups. Then only the company can hit its goals, or both of them are complementary to each other, as one has no existence with the other. This is what Taylor told. That is, management as well as labor, they should go hand in hand. There is no single existence for one particular group. So if both of them go in hand, it will end up in the success of that particular company. So that is the third one, which is known as cooperation. And the fourth one is division of work or responsibility. This is very much important, that this principle particularly states that only that work should be assigned to a group which can be performed effectively and efficiently. So the work should be given to a particular group, those groups which are capable to do that particular work efficiently and effectively. So the management should take decisions accordingly and make plan, and labor should be responsible for actually doing that particular work. Okay, division of work along with the responsibility should be given to that particular group of employees to whom we are assigning that particular task. That is the principle of division of work or responsibility tells. So in this way, if we divide the work and give them the responsibility, what happens is that each will be responsible and accountable for their task. So in turn, it will increase the productivity of the organization, and also this actually promoted the division of responsibility and work. So I think division of work or responsibility is clear for you. And the last one is maximum output. So Taylor suggests that if both the management as well as the labor, if they go hand in hand and if their efforts increase, both equally increase, then that will result in the increase in production, and that particular increase in production will be a continuous one. So if at all the production as well as the efficiency of the workers are continuous, then it will certainly result in the maximum output of a particular organization. So these are the 5 principles of scientific management. Hope this is clear for you. Now moving to the techniques of scientific management, the first technique that comes under scientific management is that the functional foremanship. So this was something which was put forward by F.W. Taylor, and he suggested this concept of functional foremanship actually. So according to this concept, that specialization helps in maximum utilization of the expertise of various experts. So what he do under this thing was, he stated that 4 foremen should be appointed for the planning department, and the 4 foremen should be appointed for the production department as well. And he named this particular process or this particular concept as functional foremanship. So in the planning department, these 4 foremans were known in the name as route clerk, instruction code clerk, time and course clerk, and the disciplinarian. So these are the 4 names which was given to the foremans in the planning department. Coming into the production department, they were known in an entirely different name, that is speed boss, gang boss, repair boss, and the inspector. So these were the 4 names given for the foremans in the production department. So I hope this concept is very much clear for you, that is functional foremanship. As the name indicates, that it is appointing foremans in 2 different departments, planning as well as production department, and they were given separate names in the planning department as well as in the production department, and the names were also discussed. Coming into the next technique, that was the scientific study of work. So the next technique was a scientific study of work. So Taylor conducted a different number of studies. He made so many experiments. He conducted many experiments. Some of them were motion study, method study, time study, fatigue study of workers. So all these studies were conducted in order to observe the workers, what is the factor that is bringing them back in working properly or working efficiently. So the scientific management actually requires detailed analysis of all the activities performed in an organization with an aim. With what aim? With the aim of producing maximum output with the minimum possible cost. So that is the main element of scientific management, maximum output with minimum possible cost. The third technique was standardization of work. Standardization of work means that we could standardize the work that has to be done by a particular labor or particular employee. Likewise, we could set the standard of the work that should be done by a particular machine or with a particular amount of raw material, or the tools or the techniques and conditions of the work. So everything must be standardized. Everything should have a standardized position or standardized quantity by which it could be followed. And by following the standardization of work, what actually happens is that it will help in maximum output at minimum cost. So I repeat that under this particular standardization of work, Taylor recommended that the standard should be fixed for different factors, such as not only for labor, but also he stated that standards must be set for all sets of raw materials, machines, tools, techniques, and condition of work, etc. So that was something which was discussed under standardization of work. Moving into the fourth technique, which was scientific task planning. What was it? Scientific task planning. So Taylor stated that all the different aspects related to a job must be analyzed before accomplishing or before it get accomplished. So in any organization, it should be decided in advance that what work is to be done, how it is to be done, where, when, and by whom that particular job is to be done. So for this purpose, a planning department should be established in every organization. That is, scientific task planning department should be there in each organization in order to plan everything in prior. That means before actually happening of that particular task, we actually have to plan what is to be done, when, where, by whom, and how much amount should be needed. Everything should be decided in prior. So that was the fourth principle. And moving into the fifth principle, that is differential weight system, which is very important and which is also one important area of questions. That is differential weight system. So according to this technique, that is, Taylor has advised that there should be a differential wage system in order to motivate the employees. That is, under this particular system, what Taylor actually tells is that the wages are based on, or the wages paid to a particular employee is based on the work that he is doing. Okay, two different wage rates are used. That is, one is the high wage rate as well as the other is the low wage rate. And also the standard of the work is fixed. So high wage rate is paid to those workers who are able to produce the minimum standard of work, and the low wage rate was given to the workers who are not able to hit that minimum standard of work. Understood? So this is something that comes under differential wage system. So it was really, the aim of that was to motivate the employees, that those workers or those employees who work more or who dedicate more actually is paid more. That is something which is comes under differential wage system. And the sixth technique was that Mendel revolution. So Mendel revolution, as we discussed earlier, is one of the major concept which was put forward by F.W. Taylor. So according to him, he calls Mendel revolution as the change in mindset of both the employees and workers. And this change in mindset will promote the cooperation and understanding between the employees and workers. So according to Taylor, instead of fighting over each petty things or each division of profit, or for the parties should make efforts for increasing the profits from their side. So such a situation will result in an increase in production, and as such it increases the profit and will ensure that the higher payment will be given to the workers. So that is what Mendel revolution means, that the mental thinking of both the employees as well as the employer should be changed. They should go hand in hand, should cooperate with each other. If they work like that, then it will result in the increase in production and increase in profit. And if increase in profit happens, the workers will be paid with a high rate, or they will be paid with a high wage. So that is all about the techniques of scientific management. So these are the things that comes under scientific management. We talk about its origin, its meaning, principle, its techniques, its definition, and everything that comes under scientific management has been discussed. So I hope it is very much clear for you. And in the coming video, we will be dealing with the administrative management. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and also there is a thumbs up button given below. Go hit that if you want like this video. Thank you and bye bye, and see you in the next video.